rise, what we'd like to do is, it's traditional to face east to Jerusalem, basically dealing with the returning of Jewish people to Israel. Of course, we're looking forward to returning of a particular Jewish person to Israel, the Messiah, when he returns. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Praise be his name, whose glorious kingdom is forever and ever.
Now, obviously, we do some things. I think a lot of traditions are good. If it is just a matter of going through the motions, then I think it's pretty worthless. But a lot of things, like the Shema, is very meaningful. That we're focused on one God.
First time I heard the Shema, I was like, oh, I could remember it. I can still feel it all the way down to my bones. I never heard Hebrew before, and the first time I heard it was like, oh, this is so right.
We believe that the Messiah first came to Jewish people, and all of Jesus' earlier followers were all Jewish people. All his followers, and even after he died for many years, it was pretty much a Jewish thing. And the idea of a Gentile believing in Jesus might have seemed like a contradiction in terms for a good while, but he was promised to be a light to the nations, a light to the Gentiles. The Hebrew in Scripture was from Isaiah is actually goyim.
In philosophy, they talk about it being an upper story leap of faith. We kind of believe, not because we have any proof, but we just live better that way, or we just kind of hope that it's true. Where it's not existentialism where you're just kind of wanting it to be so. It's the fact, it's just like I said last time I shared, is that when Yeshua was here on the earth and he walked down the beach, what was left? Footprints. When he ate a piece of fish and he threw away the bones were there. He was a real person in real time and real space and real history. Messianic belief in Yeshua is a historical religion, historically based. It's not philosophically based. It's been proven true and trustworthy. So what difference should it make in our life?
The central theme of both Judaism and Christianity, the central theme of believers of all time has been that there is one God. And another thing I just learned about Passover, Exodus 12:12 says, God is overthrowing all of the gods of Egypt. Well, I didn't realize that each one of the plagues represented a specific god of Egypt. And so I have an alarm set on my phone now for 12:12. It says, Lord, overthrow the gods in my life and show me what they are. So that way when I say Shema, then it means more than, it's like, okay, I'm to hear and obey. Do I have idols in my life? Where are they? Overthrow them omnipotently if that's what's needed, and if not, and I'm supposed to help fight, then show me what I'm supposed to fight.
Well, so if our trust is in traditions and not in maybe the one who gave traditions, or the one, or the God who created everything, then we're kind of missing the boat, and we have a false hope. It's in our ability to do traditions, and not really, and that in the long run can't save us. It really, in Fiddler on the Roof, the big thing is, without our traditions, we'd be as shaky as a fiddler on the roof. Da, 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 da. Tradition. Well, and that's where a lot of traditional Judaism has gone. It's been traditions created by rabbis, and a lot of traditions are very good, but it didn't say, traditions was the foundation, and that didn't say the Bible or the Hebrew Scriptures or God himself. So it was more hope in practices, and sometimes that can take our focus away from the one who can really help us. It's really a story from the book of Esther, and in that story, Esther became, a Jewish lady became queen. There was a plot by essentially the prime minister of Persia to destroy all the Jewish people, and basically the Jewish people were delivered, and she was one of the instruments through that. She ended up going to the king, and it turned around, but there's a lot of so-called coincidences that all had to fall in place for the Jewish people to be spared, but it points to God's promises that he would always preserve the Jewish people, and that was a particular instance of that.
I love Purim. Purim because first it's such a riotous holiday, and I don't think we have really riotous holidays in Christianity. It's also a very good example of two things. There is pure evil in this world. That is, people who insist on serving a false god, a demonic god, in spite of their opportunities to know differently. And second, Haman is a very good example of anti-Semitism.
I shall not be moved. He is my defense. I shall not be moved. He is my defense. I shall not be moved.
It's from one of the Psalms, and the reason we did that at Purim is because God defended and protected the Jewish people. So that was really and because of that, the Jewish people will remain, regardless of all the Hamans and Hitlers and Stalins and jihadists that may arise, that really our hope isn't in our own strength, it's in Him. And so that seemed appropriate for Purim. The main things is the style of music and the style of dance. That'll be, a lot of the dance will be like circle dances, kind of like Jewish people. Of course, my joke is that where that started was in the wilderness, because under Moses, because we kept going around in circles for so many years, it kind of just got ingrained in the culture.
They are Jewish dances. That this is a Messianic congregation. That we also attend another congregation on Sunday. That's a Christian congregation. So, but we identify with both.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, motzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
I don't think there's anything that here that anyone who would care at all about Purim, which most people in Bowling Green don't know much about Purim anyway, and the Jewish people that are in Bowling Green, obviously are not going to be Orthodox, because they'd have to walk to the nearest synagogue. They'd have to walk to Nashville, like 60 miles away, or to Louisville, maybe 100 miles away. So they wouldn't be living here. They'd be living in a place where they could walk to shul, and so this is a different situation. This is more of a fun time, and I don't think there's anything either that's non-traditional, because I don't think there's a traditional time where you actually do Purim, at least that I'm aware of. There might be some place, but it's probably something that there hasn't been a deep tradition of when to do Purim in Bowling Green. Since I don't think before us there was even a Jewish congregation in Bowling Green. So fortunately, we don't have a whole lot of traditions in this town to overcome.
Come on, Woody.